What's going on? I have not posted a video in quite some time and I want to do a better job of that. So, thanks for tuning in. My name is Andrew and it's been a minute since I've done a video, so I want to just reintroduce myself. And I also have a Instagram page that is titled Confidence Hype. So, confidence and then HYPE. So, check that out as well. I post a lot of content there. Uh, Try to do it daily, but I like to just give some daily tips and advice on how to really, optimize our mental health and give some personal testimonials and stuff that I observe and see. But aside from that and that personal shout out, I want to delve into a bit of a background story about me and how I've become more cognizant and have improved my mental health and really the origin of where my struggles have occurred. So, unfortunately and sadly, a lot of it has to do with bullying and not something that isn't uncommon, unfortunately. And now we're in a day and age where cyberbullying is becoming more and more apparent, and it's sad. I'm in my 30s, and I want to say that my bullying experience happened pretty young, right around the time when most dudes hit puberty. I was around 13, 14 when I started to experience my bullying, and it happened while I was actually at sleepaway camp. So there's a little bit about me growing up. I grew up in a very um, fun neighborhood, had a lot of friends in the neighborhood growing up, and um, I grew up in a sort of a lifestyle, if you will, where I grew up somewhat religious, and now I'm more of a mainstream person. I still value traditions and religion, but not as much as I used to. And without going into too much detail, stuff I want to be confidential about is, I grew up in one neighborhood and one town, if you will, and adjacent to that, and in different other towns spreading across, 45 minutes to a half hour. So there are other towns and communities that have a lot of people similar to me, but they're all in the sense of like lifestyle and religion, but they're all very different people, different types of interests, and different attitudes, personalities, and even um, net worths. So I went to a sleepaway camp, and I always wanted to go to sleepaway camp. It was something that I always wanted to do because even when I was a little kid, I always dreamed about it. I was always interested in it, and I always went to day camp growing up. And for me, I went to sleepaway camp for the first time when I was 13 years old. And right off the bat, in hindsight, I've learned that a lot of times, not only is sleepaway camp very clicky, but a lot of times as you get older and the later you go to sleepaway camp, it's harder to make friends because it is very clicky. And those initial bonds, those cliques, if you will, they sort of become intact when you're younger. I mean, there are kids who go to sleepaway camp as young as 7, 8, 9, which is kind of hard to imagine, but people do it. Um, and so I went when I was 13, and literally the first day I got there, I was excited because the campus itself, the camp in itself was wonderful. Like the just all the amenities, if you will, the facilities are fantastic. Beautiful camp, beautiful location. But the very first day, I meet all these people who grew up like me from a religious lifestyle standpoint, but all very different personalities, if you will, different interests. And I was immediately met with some bullies. I was treated like the quote unquote outcast, new guy, outsider. Who the hell is this guy? And it was almost like they immediately met me with just animosity, like get out of our club, get out of our clique, which sucked because on the one hand, the camp in itself was really cool. Again, awesome facilities, but the people and the kids were just awful to me. So it was really hard to struggle because I wanted to be there so bad because I loved all the sports facilities, and I loved everything about it. The food, the even the bunks, all really really well maintained. Like I would give it like an A plus rating. But the people there, not so much so. And I was bullied. I was pranked quite a bit. Um, Bed being dumped, uh, literally being picked up while I was sleeping and being brought like outside on a deck outside the bunk, waking up in the middle of the night, being like, "Where the hell am I?" People messing with my clothes, um, people making fun of me just in terms of like looks, appearance, people just questioning my intelligence, just all in all, picking at character flaws that really had no basis to it, weren't warranted at all. And I was a pretty nice guy for the most part. Um, I left that camp that first summer with some new friends, but there were still these bullies who were really coming at me pretty hard. And over the course of the school year, before the next summer even began, because I wanted to go back to the camp, because again, it was, I saw what people had in those cliques and I wanted to have what they had. And I just really wanted it so bad. I wanted to be just like them. And I figured, you know what, in due time, I'll become friends with them. I will. That was my goal. And I wanted to be popular just like them. I was sort of like an outcast. So as the year progressed, going from age 13 to 14, over the course of the school year, when instant messenger was still around, I was getting these instant messages from kids who were basically threatening me, really saying some nasty things, making fun of me, doing, making fun of my family, which they didn't even know, but still, just saying horrible things, putting me down, saying that I didn't know that I was not good at sports. I sucked. Actually, was pretty good, but they just really tried to put me down as much as possible. It's almost like they didn't want me back in their clique. So my mom and my dad unfortunately saw me really depressed from this. And the one thing that in hindsight I wish they didn't do, which probably didn't help matters much, although they meant well, they saw I was really upset and they saw I was being cyberbullied. And they called the camp. And the camp actually called the kids' parents that actually were cyberbullying me. Some of them called me directly and apologized, which was nice of them to do. Whether they meant it or not, very up in the air, very questionable. But um, the other kids just kind of went through their parents and let their parents call my parents to kind of apologize on their behalf, and they sort of hid away. Fine. So I still wanted to go to this camp. Like I said, I loved the camp. I thought it was really cool. Amazing facilities. I keep on saying that over and over again, but um, you know, I wanted to just befriend these people, and I just, for some reason, wanted to be just like them. And so I eventually got in touch with the camp, and I said, "Listen, I want to come back, but can I be a part of a different bunk?" At that age group of age 14, there were two main bunks: the kids who I was previously with, and the kids who I was with a little bit. The kids I was with previously, and a different group of kids. Um, Same, from the same town, same schools as the other kids I was with, but I wanted to try being a different group. And that summer went much better, actually, like way better. Um, I made much more friends. I befriended them a lot easier. And I thought that it was all in all a very good summer. And I went into high school being a freshman with some confidence. But there were still those kids from before that were still getting in the way of putting me down. So although I had improved, I wasn't healed. My self esteem was shot. My confidence was shot. And because of all this that had happened, I noticed that really over the course of my first year of high school, I developed a lot of social anxiety. And it made me question whether or not I was cool enough to hang out or even approach certain people. It made me question whether or not I was smart enough to partake in certain extracurricular activities, whether I was even good enough to participate in sports. And mind you, like I said before, growing up, I was really good in sports. I was pretty athletic, but all the naysayers and all the bullying really got to my head, and it unfortunately affected my athletic performance. Sorry, um, just reflecting on that time. And so I think ultimately, over a period of time, I said to myself that I just want to wait until high school's over, kind of leave this nest, leave this lifestyle, leave this entire community, and just start brand new, create a new version of myself. And that's what I did in college. I basically wanted to recreate myself, reinvent myself, because when you go to college, it's almost like a blank slate. People don't know who the hell you are, they don't know your backstory, and that's what I did. I created a whole new persona, if you will. I like actively like forced myself to come off as confident, almost cocky to a point, which wasn't great. And but it worked. It worked, and I college was the best years of my life, and and that's what ultimately happened to me. But to this day, though, once college was over, and once my friends went their own ways, I kind of fell back into my old habits of having that sort of social anxiety and really um, having those voices in my head being telling me that, you know, you're not cool, you're not good looking, you're not creative, you're not strong, you're not athletic, and it's affected me a lot. I still am social and outgoing and have a good group of friends, but it definitely made me rethink and question what am I good at and if I'm even good enough at doing certain things from a career standpoint. There are certain things that I wish I could pursue that I didn't end up pursuing because I ultimately just didn't have the confidence or felt like I can do it. And I sort of, I wouldn't say took the safe route. I'm doing something that I am passionate about, but there are definitely avenues that I wish I could have explored more. At least could have dipped my toes in the waters to see if it was even worth considering. And that's something that I didn't even do because um, I was just so down in terms of my self esteem and wondering if I was even worth trying those things out in terms of like majors and trying different career paths. So it definitely that bullying experience really took me down a really long term route of self doubting and really affecting my confidence. And so years passed, married, having a kid, all that good stuff. And what happened recently, and this wasn't recent, I would say it was about a year and a half ago, but something very interesting happened. I guess one of the kids that was one of my bullies was getting married, and I guess they were having like a bit of a roast session, and I guess they mentioned like about the times of like how he picked on me and my name got brought up, and I guess these are people that I hadn't been in touch with in a long time, and really out of nowhere, literally like about 10, 15 years, I hadn't spoken to these people. Some of them reached out to me and just kind of reached out and said like, "Hey, I apologize. Looking back at it, like I really realized I was a bit of a jerk to you, and I really wish you the best. And I just hope you realize that I was young and immature, and I don't want you to really hold resentment." And at first, I was really happy that I heard that, but I was also really upset and mad because it brought up bad memories that were rather traumatic, and it also kind of made me sad because mad rather because I was like, wow, you waited all this time. You couldn't wait until like you were 18 or 19 or 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, I waited until I was in my mid 30s to do this. Nevertheless, I did it, but it still reminded me of the times that I went through. And I'm just here to tell you that this is my own personal story. This is where a lot of my anxiety is rooted from. And it's unfortunate. And I really think that this video is not about sleepaway camp. This isn't about how you should approach sending your kids to camp or not. That's not what this is about. It's really about understanding that anxiety and depression have their own roots, respectively, and you have to make sure that what you're doing in your life is not being driven by naysayers or doubts from your past. I finally feel like I'm at a point where over the last 2 years, I've been able to bury that past. I consider that it's almost like a dead version, if you will, of myself, where I just kind of put it to rest. It's almost like age 10 through 16 or 17 is just almost like a blur. Cancel it. It's not a part of my life story. And I'm carrying on with everything that happened before that and after that, and it's worked out pretty well. And so I think everyone has their own stories and their own ways of dealing with anxiety and depression, but you really need to understand the root of the cause in order to really get past depression, get past anxiety. It doesn't just come about. There's a root and a cause for it. And that was my cause. And I think that we as a community have to really try to not only just be good and be nice to each other, but we need to also be there as friends to really help us understand one another and understand how we can help each other, consult each other, and console each other, so that we can move past these. So, again, this is just a personal video I wanted to share. I wanted to just kind of give you a bit of a background story about me and a lot of the some of the anxiety and the depression and that I have, social anxiety that I've had, where it came from. And I think everyone has their own story. And sure, there's some shame to it, but the one thing about it is that you can't let it be the driver of your life, and you can't let it affect your life in the long term. Because once you understand what causes your mental health issues, you need to either completely forget about it and erase it and put it behind you, or you need to make peace with it in order to really push forward. I didn't decide to make peace with it. I just sort of canceled it out of my life, and it's worked. I don't think about it. It's gone. Um, Anything that would sort of bring up any memory of it, I've eliminated out of my sort of like image box or memory, if you will, um, and it's helped. So again, without going further on and kind of speaking in circles, I kind of want to take a break here and kind of, or rather, end things on this note and just really again let you know that this is really my story. And I encourage everyone to really do some introspective work if they're going through some times of anxiety or depression. Really, really, really be objective and think back. Don't just take things in the present moment or reason. Really think critically and deeply as to what might be causing the issues that you're going through. And if you need a professional, if you need a therapist, go for it. No shame in that. But you are here for a reason, and you are special in your own ways. And you can't allow naysayers and bad experiences affect anything positive or anything that you want to go for the rest of your life. So onward and upward, and let's do this. Let's combat all these demons that we've gone through, and let's improve our lives for the better.